off week. The mental work and the film work and the teaching work for the coaches. Being able to rest, be a regular student for the student athlete, but at the same time, reflection time. What can you do about the hole that we're in, 1-6 in conference? What can you do? So we were hoping to play a game tomorrow night on Tuesday, but everybody we got out didn't want to play a game during their conference season, but I was hoping to play a ball game, and I thought we had one set, but they just didn't want to play. So we're going to play with what we have. We're going to get better. We got better on execution on the offensive end in the last ball game. But we have to get smarter. We have to get better. We got to do the little things right to be a winner in the SEC. They do not give you a thing in any sport in the SEC. So we're going to keep working at it.
He's Coach Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. And, so when an off day comes, you tried to get a game scheduled that didn't come to fruition. It got really close. And at the last moment, that game came undone. So is it better to have a game or to have off time when you're coming off of a couple of losses?
I think we're healthy and we're COVID-free. Play. Get better through execution, learn how to win again, and get the excuses out of the mirror and find the answers. I'd love to have played another ball game. But that's where we are. We've got to figure out how to get win number 2. That's the most important thing. Steve, when you look across the board before the season started, you would have said the 3 most surprising teams in the league have been Florida, how well Mississippi has played, and how Tennessee looks like Tennessee of old. I would say those are the 3 most. The 3 most disappointing teams we've yet to play, and that's Kentucky, Mississippi State, and ourselves. Well, all 3 of us have got to do to find the answer to move up in that, because both Mississippi State, who's used to being in the top 4 in the league, and Kentucky, who was picked right where we were right near the top. And all 3 of us have got to figure a way to move up the ladder and to at least get to the middle. You get to the middle, then you have a chance to get a better seed in the SEC tournament and then make a run. And that's all it takes, is making a run in March. That's SEC tournament and hopefully get to the NCAA tournament.
What's the most disappointing thing about the way conference play has started for you?
I think most disappointing thing is just the loss itself. We've been in a lot of those ball games. We were in the Missouri game playing very well. And all of a sudden we did finish the second quarter well when we had a chance to go up by 11 or 12, and we didn't do it. We got into foul problems and then execution problems. Then at the end of the third quarter, we had a chance to get a little separation, and we let them right back into the ball game. And then in the fourth quarter, you can't open up the fourth quarter with 2 straight turnovers, 4 easy baskets that are layups, uncontested. Those are the things that really hurt. This is a team, and I'm sure if Buzz was here, he would agree. Our team this year is sort of playing sort of like Buzz's team last year, that he had to do everything right to make up for his either lack of rebounding or lack of experience or whatever. We've got the experience, but there's certain things we are not doing well. That's rebounding the basketball against teams that we know that we're taller and more physical than. We've got to rebound the basketball. Both. We had 4 offensive rebounds in the whole ball game.
One of those was a team offensive rebound.
Yes, and we had 5 steals in the ball game. You can't play basketball if you're playing a team that's going to beat you in a horse game at their place, and that is shooting threes. We can shoot threes pretty good. We've been over 8, 5 or 6, 7 times. But they've been over 10, 11, 12. That's their game. But on their misses, their kids are going to the boards because they know if they miss, it's going to be a long rebound. That means guards rebounds. When we miss, we're getting back on defense versus a team that's not running at us. So we've got to complement those out by our kids have just got to be accountable, and we've got to do a better job of teaching going to the offensive boards when there is a miss or there is a foul that's not called. We can't worry about what's not called. We got to worry about what we can do on execution.
You mentioned a couple of improvements in that answer. Are any of those part of the little things that you need to improve on that you referenced a few moments ago?
Everything in this game of basketball, whether I'm watching this game on TV here trying to learn something from it or watching South Carolina and Vanderbilt, which I hope they'll turn that game on. I think that's on the network going right now. I'm a learner. Then I can become a teacher. Then lastly, I'll become a coach. So right now, I'm in the learning phases of this game. What can I do better? The number one thing that I do not want this team to do, this is not about me, Gary Blair, this year. This is about we, Texas A&M. If you want to send me off into happy trails or you and all that type of stuff, then we need to come together as a basketball team, a coaching staff, and find a way. That's the best present I could ever have, is to take this team and start moving forward with it. But it's going to be hard to do with the schedule we have and having to play perfect on too many ends.
Have you been hesitant to play that Gary card?
Sure I have, because I want it to be about we. Okay? We might live in the me generation right now. And folks, we're in the me generation. And that goes from politicians to adults to 18 to 22-year-olds to high school kids coming up. We're in that me generation. We've got to quit thinking of me and how to get this country going first. Forget the basketball game. Get the country right. Get the opinion gate that we're on a little bit better. I had a great quote. It's not a quote. Y'all have read this. And I want you to listen to this. Go ahead and keep talking while I find this thing. Steve, go ahead.
How about you find that? We'll tell folks who's coming up on the show tonight. We've got Taylor Voss from our volleyball team is also a Zeta, and they're very involved in Beat the Hell Out of Breast Cancer. She's going to be here, talk about some of the efforts they're doing for the BTHO breast cancer game coming up for the men. It's this week, and for the women here in a couple of weeks. And also Associate Head Coach Kelly Bond White will be here. Plus, we've got whatever quote you're going to read on that phone, as long as you don't miss it in the next couple of minutes. But we'll do that. We're live at Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield. Basketball and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We're back on the Gary Blair Radio Show. We're live at Rudy's Barbecue here on Harvey Road in College Station. We'll be here for till about 7 o'clock talking women's basketball, and then the Buzz Williams Show comes up at 7 o'clock to talk men's basketball. We're also watching, we've got South Carolina and Vanderbilt playing on the women's side. South Carolina is up 11-3. The Aggies will make up their game with Vanderbilt on Thursday, February the 10th at 7 o'clock. And that was the game from December 30th that was scheduled at Reed Arena. So February 10th will be when that game is replayed. The next game for the Aggies, Sunday, 3 o'clock at Mississippi State. You can listen on the A&M Sports Network locally here, 1620 WTAW, or watch it on the SEC Network. And then the Aggies don't return home to play at Reed Arena until Thursday, February 3rd, when they'll host Arkansas at 8 o'clock. So that is the next couple of games here for Texas A&M, a bye date here in the midweek. I'm Steve Miller with Coach Gary Blair. And, Gary, you've been eager to read your phone to us.
Well, I try to learn from everything. I have a devotion sent to me every morning by Mike Myers, who runs Golf for Each. And in fact, he married Kyla and I about 14 months ago or 15 months ago. But he always has a good message, and I want you to listen to this and y'all reflect and tell me where the message came from. Okay? A fool finds no pleasure in understanding, but delights in airing his own opinions. Can anybody tell me where that came from? The message? The Bible. Proverbs 18:2. And all of a sudden it just resonated with me with what's going on in everything, world, opinion gate, or whatever. That's what we try to do as coaches and teachers and professors and everything. We try to learn how to be listeners. So for me to be able to start my day, sometimes I've got to listen to other things instead of putting that me in my forehead and start trying to figure out what's wrong with today's world. And all of a sudden, it was there, right there in the book.
With these off days, or at least an off day today and no game until Sunday, what's your schedule for the team this week?
Off Monday, Tuesday. They came in for treatment today, the ones that had little pings and pangs or whatever. I don't think I saw my gym lit up with anybody in there shooting.
Oh, was it locked?
No, it was not locked.
Oh.
Tuesday is another off day for them to get right with their academics, to see their counselors, or they could come in and see their academic coach. That we have each kid assigned an academic coach, 4 coaches, and that's to be able to help out with our tutoring system and everything. Be sure that we know what that kid's syllabus is besides just the academic staff. Wednesday, we will come in and we will watch film. We have a compliance meeting either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then there's another motivational thing, and then we will not work out until Thursday. And we will work out Thursday. It has to be late in the afternoon because we have kids in class all the way to 5:30 because they're in their master's programs. And when you're in your master's programs, those classes generally do not move for athletes unless they're on Zoom. So that means it'll be a late practice Thursday, and then on Friday we'll be back to regular time. But that should be able to give us plenty of rest. Hopefully my gym, the lights will come on and shooters will be in there shooting and defensive players will be playing.
How much self-scout, essentially reflecting on your own game film from Missouri, do you think you might be doing when the young ladies come back to the locker room?
Well, I've been in and out all afternoon, and on the film, I got through almost half of it last night on the plane because I'm slow. I write things down, jot things down, then my eyes might fade for a minute or something, then I'm right back in it. But today is my catch-up day on Monday. I absolutely love Mondays because you get a chance to catch up on all the things that you've procrastinated on during the week. And at 8 o'clock, I was right there with Monica Brown getting my teeth cleaned. And then all of a sudden, I get to the office, help my wife out, moving a truck back over to where we borrowed. And all of a sudden, you're back at the office at 10 o'clock on. You run to lunch, ran to Chili's for lunch, got to see a bunch of the guys that eat in there and Chili's at lunch, and then you reflect, you run back, you do a Zoom call from 1 to 2 with the athletic, a girl that used to do a lot of writing back when you were sporting, Jenny Dial out of Houston, she's covering. And then the rest of the time, it's film, it's phone call, or counseling, or speaking to my manager, my head manager who wants to go into sports management, helping him get ready for job interviews. What does he need to look at? Then all of a sudden you look up, it's 5:30, it's time to fight that traffic and figure out how to turn left from Olsen to get on the bush, or this time I was going to trick him. I went the other way, got on Wellburn. Now he got to figure out how to turn left from that light and wait through 6 lights before you turn left. So that's my day.
That sounds very full. When do you take a moment to keep up with your former players and coaching friends out there and what their recent results have been in the college and high school ranks?
As much as I can through my limited social media. Sometimes Kelly has to help me with that because she can keep up with it. She's like flying fingers going through the air. She can see the things and it comes up. It's just not natural for me. I've got to work at it a little bit slowly, but I still read every newspaper I can every day, and I still keep up with ESPN, and I still answer every email or message that comes across. I might be late on getting it to you, but I'll answer you.
All right, he's Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. Coming up next, the Zetas are in the house. They're going to come up here and talk about the BTHO breast cancer games coming up for Aggie basketball. And then a little bit later, we've got Associate Head Coach Kelly Bond White here with us as well. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield.
Beer in Texas, St. Louis, Missouri.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, hotel accommodations, autographed memorabilia, and more. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. We're back on the Gary Blair Radio Show with Coach Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. We're out here at Rudy's Barbecue. Hope you have a chance to slide on by here. Well, maybe slide's a bad word in the rain, but drive on by here and stop in. We're having a great time tonight talking Aggie basketball. We've got women's basketball this hour, and in our next hour, Buzz Williams and Andrew Monica will be here to talk men's basketball. But we are happy to have some representatives of the Zeta sorority here, and one of them is none other than one of our senior volleyball players, Taylor Voss, and then also the philanthropy chair from the Zetas, Brianna Fury, is here. And so they're going to talk to us about all the things the Zetas are doing to help support the BTHO breast cancer game that the women are playing on February 13th against LSU. The Zetas have been involved for many years. Why is it that the Zetas get involved in supporting the women's basketball games like this?
Yeah, so breast cancer is our philanthropy, and so it's really cool that a lot of the girls that go through Rush, a big reason why they pick Zeta is because our philanthropy and because they can represent, because they're around people who have the heart behind supporting breast cancer. And we do a lot of different events during the year that Bree can talk about, like queso for a cause, chicken for a change, being able to represent at these basketball games, and just being connected to the athletic world while being connected to the student body as well. We have a lot of heart in our sorority, and that's a big reason why I Rush and why Zeta stood out to me, is because I've had a lot of people in my life that have been impacted by breast cancer, and so this was the closest way that I could give back to the community and give back to those people who have poured into me growing up, and a big reason of why I'm where I'm at today. So, yeah.
Taylor, we've enjoyed you for 4 years, sliding across that floor, getting the dicks, putting your hand down. She plays the back row for A&M. Obviously, she's not a spiker. She's a competitor. She saves everything. But I thought the real reason you joined Zetas was because of my daughter is a Zeta, a very proud one from Arkansas. And the Zetas at Arkansas were very involved, like the Zetas here. Mm-hmm. But I love Zetas. I appreciate what you do. Introduce your philanthropy chairman to us right now, because I love her first name. Go ahead and tell them what it is.
Hi, my name's Brianna Fury, and I'm the Director of Philanthropy at Zeta. I got involved with our philanthropy last year. I joined the philanthropy team, and I was able to pour into the community and my chapter more than I was before, and it inspired me to run and be like the the main person delegating all that we're trying to do every year. And we're really excited to be a part of the Pink Cow basketball game with the women's and men's team coming up, and especially because they partner with our local philanthropy, which is Pink Alliance, which helps support women in the Bryan College Station area that are battling and fighting and surviving breast cancer. But yeah.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about y'all's plans for our breast cancer game, and tell everybody in the audience here and everybody that's listening how they could get involved.
Yeah, so at the basketball games going up to the men's game and the women's breast cancer game, we're going to be selling T-shirts. They're $10 and they're super cute. They match the men's jerseys. All profits will be going to Pink Alliance and the K. Yao Foundation. And if you wear pink to the game, you'll get a discounted ticket of $3. And if you are battling or if you're a survivor of breast cancer, then you will have free admission. And so, however you can wear pink out, ribbons, T-shirts, buy a shirt at the game, any way that we can pink out the game. So.
All right, Taylor, after a volleyball career, now you're like most 22-year-olds, you're trying to figure out what's your next chapter in your life. And tell us a little bit about the possibilities, because we want to be able to keep you in Bryan College Station. And so to do that, there's people out there that are listening. So tell us a little bit about your hopes. We do have our faculty academic advisor in here that's in charge of a lot of programs right here in the audience today. So go ahead, let's hear your talk.
So yeah, I played volleyball here for 4 years, and by far the most impactful decision, best decision of my life. I've got to meet people like Coach Blair and Bree that have just poured into me, and so now that I'm closing this chapter, I'm just sitting back waiting for doors to open, talking to jobs. I'm really trying to figure out if I want to pursue ministry or go in the workforce, doing event management, a way that I can help people and pour into people, just to be able to give back to what people have done to me, where I'm at right now. And so, you know, I have a lot of passions. I love sports, love managing events. I love Texas A&M, and so if there's any way that I can stay involved in this university, anyway, I'm a fourth-generation Aggie, so really want to keep the tradition going. Love this town, love this university, love all you guys, even though I don't know y'all. Like, y'all are family, and so any way that I can just stay connected and still like be a part of the Aggie family. So yeah, just I'm in 4 hours, so really trying to figure out, have a lot of time to reach out and make those relationships to figure out what I want to do post-college.
Oh, congratulations. Well said. Taylor, appreciate all you've done as a volleyball student-athlete at A&M, and appreciate what you and Bree are doing with the Zetas and all the rest of the Zetas who are, you know, pouring their heart into these two basketball games, and all the support you guys are doing. Thank you guys for that.
Yeah, thank y'all for having us.
Appreciate it. All right, that's Taylor Voss and Brianna Fury from Zeta. We'll be back in just a moment with, how about Associate Head Coach Kelly Bond White? We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's the Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield. Not everyone is a morning person yet, but with Costa Vida's new breakfast tacos, everyone will be. Try our bacon, egg, and cheese, or specialties like the machaca beef or an egg or sweet pork, egg, and cheese. Stop by the drive-thru any day from 7 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Order online through the Costa Vida app or the website. Become a morning person at Costa Vida. We're back on the Gary Blair Radio Show with Coach Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller, and the ladies from Zeta were referencing the men's BTHO breast cancer game, and the Aggie men's basketball team will host a breast cancer game. That's going to be presented by St. Joseph Health this Saturday, 7:30, and they will support the KL Cancer Fund and Pink Alliance. You can visit 12thman.com/BTHOBC and buy your official event T-shirts, game tickets, and more. And then the women will have their game on February the 13th. That is a Sunday. And so we are joined now by Associate Head Coach Kelly Bond White. How you doing?
Howdy. Doing pretty good.
Been running some errands in the rain?
No, I've been staying out of the rain, but prepping for basketball practice for the little one today.
Oh, that's good. Are you the coach too?
No. I'm a fan. I get to sit there and just clap and just smile. And tell my husband tell me to shut up, so I don't say anything to the coach. I just sit there and clap.
We talked earlier about a lot of the doing some of the little things that this team could improve on, and talking about the off week and some other things. When you take a look at coaches who go through an off like this, coming off of 2 losses, what motivates you?
Oh, I think you go back last night. We got in at about 10:45. And I drove home. My husband was in the kitchen. My daughter was already asleep, so I go in the room just to kiss her goodnight. Haven't seen her. I just kind of stared at her face. And as I'm staring at her face, I'm imagining the other 14 little girls in that locker room. And so you get perspective that way in terms of not trying to get too high, not trying to get too low. But what can I bring to them? What can I bring to them to offer them solace? Because she's watching how I handle adversity, and those young ladies are watching it too, so they're learning through us on how to handle some things. Throughout all the external factors that they're getting hit with, they're also watching us. So for me, the motivation is my why of why I do this, and it has always been, to invest in how people invested in me and help give me an opportunity. So that's what you do. You turn the page. Before you even think about Mississippi State, you think about building up those young ladies, challenging them, not just building them up, but challenging them, exposing them, and letting them understand that there is an accountability to this as well. But then building them up and helping them chart that next step.
How do you challenge them?
I think you have to, same way we challenge ourselves, I think we have to look in the mirror first. It always starts there. And you have to, as coaches, we always do that. What could I have done better? What didn't I communicate to get through that? Before I look at look at that closeout. It's terrible. The technique of, man, we didn't execute this. Before you do that, I think you have to look at yourself. So in terms of how do you challenge them, you literally show them. And film don't lie. And you can't run from that. And we're at a place where Jimbo talked about this really early when he was doing a tour about eliminating self-inflicted wounds. And right now, man, we're shooting ourselves in some areas where we stick into the game plan. But then it's like a boxer when you're challenging. You get hit sometimes and you get flustered. And all of a sudden you forget your training and where you came from. And you're just trying to survive instead of sticking to that game plan. And that's where we are. And that's our job as a trainer in the corner, as we're putting on the Vaseline and everything else to calm them down, is to make them stick to the game plan and the training.
Tell us, I love big-time boxing when they're actually, Sugar Ray Leonard was one of my favorite because he knew how to fight and box, and he was a showman.
Well, I'm a little different. I like Michael B. Jordan and Creed because he's got nice pecs.
What are pecs? I missed the boat there. But I love boxing because it's one-on-one sometimes that it's just you and your trainer who has prepared you and your cut person and all of that. Now go back to the game yesterday. There's so many things that we did well. Let's talk to our audience about what we did well in that ball game.
I like the segment where we pushed the ball. We pushed the ball well. We got out in some lanes. We were actually sticking and we were moving as a unit on defense, and we were able to clog some things down. We took away some right-hand drives. We contested, which led to our transition. And I love that because that's when you're at your honest in the game. Whether it's primary or secondary, that's when basketball is at its purest because your kids are making their own reads going through there. And I thought our kids just played well. We found some post inside after we turned it and slipped. Jordan made some good reads off of it. Kayla with natural with her drive. And then you got Destiny coming up as a trail. And I just think that's when the game is at, its purest. So that was fun for me to watch and trying to create more of those moments for our young ladies. Then, of course, when you execute, because as Coach Blair says, it's always going to come back to a half-court game. And that's where we're trying to get our ladies to believe in. And you know what, guys, when we're up 12, when we're up whatever it is, it's because you're executing. don't shy away from or think that something isn't working because something else isn't working, on the other end, because it tends to pull each other from different directions. So, the biggest part is for me is execution. I harp on the kids about that, little details that, fans never see about. Sometimes you're hollering at that post, well, she didn't set a screen. Well, you know what? The guard's got to set that screen up so we don't get a moving screen. And then our bigs. I told Roby on some of those flops, I liked it because I like when I see some aggressiveness, from our bigs. And she looked like she was ready to bring the fight to them. And I like that, and I encouraged her. I told her not to worry about those flops. Yeah, we got to clean up our technique. But I'll take my big using some of those 5 fouls aggressively instead of fading away from the basket.
When you're preparing for a team that's not a South Carolina or a Tennessee that's got size, then we're limited sometimes on who we can play. So sometimes we've got to play small ball to be able to match up with three-point shooters. Is that harder to do, or do you worry about one end and then they've got to worry about your end on the other end? How do you find a mix of playing 4 guards, single post, or 2 posts, but then they have to guard a guard?
See, this gives you guys a little insight. This is these coaching staff meetings where we fight over this. Me and Coach differ in this area because I played for one of the best post players to ever play the game, Teresa Grintz out of Immaculata, and she was this mean 6'5" Philadelphia chick that was just brutal. And, she was one of those people that believed in, pound it in. And so if I'm playing against another great or even an average big on the other side, be it Aaliyah Boston, be it whoever any of these bigs are, I'm going to go at them. I'm not going to let them just float. You're going to have to block some shots, but you're going to know I was here all day. So the biggest thing in the game, like yesterday, we know Frank is going to get loose. But we also know last year we had her with 4 fouls and she only played 20 minutes because she couldn't guard Sierra on the other end. So that's what all that flopping was about, was because she knew she couldn't guard Roby. But, if you're going to give it up on one end, I'm going to punish them, on the other. But then as Coach Blair, you have to have some balance with that. And some of our kids just weren't ready, for that challenge. So they'll be ready next time.
Going forward, I said earlier in the show that probably the 3 teams that have surprised on where they are now is Florida, Mississippi, and Tennessee. How well all 3 of those. And the 3 that hadn't played as well, who were supposed to be in the top 5, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and A&M. How do we catch up? How do we get the confidence back in these kids? Because we're fixing to have to play Mississippi State and Kentucky, both on the road as usual.
You don't worry about it. You tell your kids to put on their blinders, and you focus on the next step, that you have to take. We can't look at the conference. I can't tell you what all the conference standings are. All I know is that Mississippi State is next, so that's our championship game, and we have to prep for that. Like it's the only game, that matters. But when our kids start looking at the big picture, obviously as coaches, we're looking at the big picture. But we don't want them necessarily to feel a panic. It's not a time for a panic or anything like that. It's time to just realize that it's time for us to take that next step. And how do we do that? You get up and you prepare the next day. As coaches, we got to change some things up. Like Steve asked, how do you challenge them? How do you get their attention? We might have to mix some things up with some kids that have, played a lot of heavy minutes, to get their attention and let them know right now it's not good enough. But in terms of what's out there and the expectations of others, we know what our expectations are here in Aggieland, and we haven't met that. So I can't worry about what's going on other campuses. All those coaches that he just mentioned, we're all friends. We all call. We talk about that kind of stuff, but it's what we do as coaches. But for us, our primary concern is just getting our group ready for the next fight.
Motherhood, 4th grader,
yes.
Basketball games. How can you turn the switch to be mama versus Coach Bond White?
Oh, that's easy. I think that's the easy part. I think if you had asked the other question of how you flip the switch to be wife. My husband would have a lot of input on that, but I think that the easy part is knowing that you give so much to the young ladies that are here, that I constantly want her around them, and just with Steve's kids and everything as well, because I want her to see what those girls are, and at the heart of them, they're all good. We were all crazy between 18 and 22 as well. We all had our issues. We all had our problems. We all had our things. It just wasn't displayed on social media. We didn't have access to as much as they do right now. So in terms of me being a mom, I share our team with her, because there's just so much love. When she walks in, her favorites change every other day. Right now, I think it's KP, Kenyelle Perry. But every other week she has a different favorite, and just to see the smile that they bring to her face when they're over the house or, just hanging out, I wouldn't. It's easy to flip the switch to mom.
All right. Kelly, thank you for joining us tonight. Associate Head Coach Kelly Bond White, everybody. When we come back, we dig into my much anticipated list of random Gary Blair questions. You can't wait for this one. We're live from Rudy's Barbecue. It's a Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield. This copyrighted broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by Texas A&M University. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of Texas A&M University and Learfield. Announcers are provided by Learfield and Texas A&M University. We're back with our remaining moments with Coach Gary Blair. I'm Steve Miller. Coming up in just a few moments, Coach Buzz Williams and Andrew Monaco will be here to talk Aggie men's basketball. The women are off midweek and will be at Mississippi State this Sunday at 3 o'clock. And you can watch that on the SEC Network or listen locally on 1620 WTAW. So, Gary, we've been doing this for, we've only been doing this show for, 10 or 11 years. But for the 19 years that I've been around you, I've been keeping a list of random questions that I think I want to ask someday. And we're running out of time to ask them. So I'm going to start getting to that list, and tonight's the night. Maybe it just happens after 2 losses or an off week. But so here's a couple of random questions. We didn't even get to the second one.
Wait a second. So you don't think I'm the Beatles? I'm not going to come back on a reunion tour? No, I'm not.
I'll get a new list if that's the case.
I'm Ringo.
All right.
I like Ringo.
What's your take on the Vienna sausage?
There's no take at all, because that's not on my menu or whatever to eat. Vienna, now little sausages that we did with my grandkids the other day on the fire pit, and that was good. S'mores and those little sausages and on the fire pit was good, but Vienna sausages does not mean a thing to me, except I was in Vienna in 1975 when I did Europe by myself on a tour, but I went to Vienna, Austria, because I wanted to be close to the sound of music and everything. How's that for a question?
So I have to knock off that one. Have you ever been to Europe by yourself? I'll have to take that one off the list.
Yes.
All right. Vegetables.
If it ain't fried, it's not worth eating. That's no. My mama used to make me eat little Lazur green peas.
What?
Lazur. It's in a can.
Hey, if you can't spell it, you can't say it.
L-E, capital S-E-U-R.
No.
Or carrots to make my eyes pretty. But if it isn't potatoes, I got to have potatoes every meal. And if it's fried okra, that's the number one thing. Is that enough about vegetables?
Yes.
Me and George Bush didn't like broccoli either.
I have the final question that we'll read off the list, and this is another food question. You served in the Marines.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service. Most people may not have known you were a Marine.
Thank you. I was a proud Marine. I joined the Marines after I got drafted because I wanted to be a Marine. And they said, "You're on your way to Fort Ord." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm joining the Marines." And they said, "Go ahead, son. Go to second floor." That was in San Diego, and I was a proud Marine, proud to have served.
Did you ever trade food rations in the Marines?
Yes, all the time. All the time, because I didn't like those lima beans or the little canned sea rations. I'd trade it for fruit. I'm not a smoker, never have been, so anytime cigarettes come around, I'd trade whatever.
Was it fresh fruit?
Yes, in a little canister like I get at H-E-B or Kroger. But, no, that was good stuff. But, no, I'm not a vegetable thing. Look, while I've forgotten your questions, I want to make sure I recognize the Angels again. You talking about philanthropy. They're here every one of my shows. I appreciate our Special Olympics golf tournament. We'll be meeting next Monday night. The lady who's in charge of all my volunteer, now Paul Batista, he's important. I mean, that's head academics. But his wife is more important because she runs all my volunteers and does a tremendous job. But I appreciate all of y'all out there that serve for your church or community or whatever. Keep serving.
Our next radio show is going to be next Monday night, and we will be here literally to the end of the season. So we have about 6 more of these in a row, so we don't skip a week. We go all the way through until after the SEC tournament right here each and every week. So do you have a date yet for the golf tournament?
May the 5th and 6th, is that correct? Thursday night, always at the Expo Center where we have 700-800 people. We have the biggest silent and live auction in Bryan College Station. We need items, so if y'all are out there, got things, don't re-gift me now. Okay, those used lamps or things like that. But if you've got good items that can give us value, we'd love to have you out there.
The final luncheon will be Tuesday, February the 15th. That'll be the last luncheon of the year. And that is right after Valentine's Day. So you're not going to be able to hold a Valentine's Day luncheon, so you kind of get the aftermath.
No, I will call it a Valentine's Day luncheon.
See who's still together when they show up?
Yes, I want it. It's going to be good. We had Slotsnagle, the new baseball coach, at our last luncheon, and he was tremendous as usual. Destiny was one of our guests in that ball game, and she just kills it when she speaks. I love our luncheons because it gives you the inside of what's happening, and you get a chance to meet our athletes and hear them talk. When you listen to the broadcast when we're interviewed, I'll take my student athletes versus any in the country because they know how to speak and communicate, and they do an excellent job.
All right. Gary, thank you so much. Be careful out there on the roads, and we will look forward to getting back together on Sunday in Starkville and then back here again on Monday.
I'm fixing to get in line and have my Rudy's barbecue.
What are you getting?
I always get the baked potato with chopped up sausage and brisket.
They haven't named that after you yet?
They should, but they're a national corporation. They should. They're one of our great sponsors.
All right.
I get the same thing every time.
Our thanks to Coach Kelly Bond White, also to Taylor Voss and Brianna Fury from Zetas. Also our engineers Kevin Minchow and Bobby back in Jefferson City. For Coach Gary Blair, I'm Steve Miller. Have a great night. The Buzz Williams Show comes up next. This has been the Gary Blair Radio Show from Learfield.